blimey, not only are we making cars, we're exporting them as well?
We are indeed, Mark. These are pretty good numbers. These are from the SMMT, the Society of Motor Manufacturing and Traders. They put out their monthly figures on car production. Let's have a look at some of these figures. So in March 2023, as you say, the UK produced 81,605 cars, and that was up 6.1% on March 2022. Having said that, though, if you drill down into these numbers, they're the production figures there. And if we take the next graphic and drill down into the numbers, domestic sales in the UK, they were down 5.1%.
Ah, right.
But overseas sales were up 10.4%.
So we're exporting 10% more than we were originally?
Roughly. But it's interesting that domestic sales are down because you're right, car production has increased. There you go, domestic sales 5.1%
A bit like a car production line, it comes along eventually.
But overseas sales are 10.4% up. So, yes, we are producing more cars because there's no longer that real shortage of semiconductors.
Chips and things.
Post-lockdown supply chains are now much better than they were. Manufacturing is pretty much rebooted after being shuttered during lockdown. But domestic demand is not as high as we thought it would be. This is a big ticket item.
Yeah.
If you're lucky enough to buy a house, the next biggest thing you buy is a car. And that really is a good indicator of consumer confidence, and consumer confidence is not great.
And the other problem is, what do we buy? Of course, we're being told no more sort of combustion engines by 2030. You've got to go electric.
We'll see about that.
But, this is the problem. Do people think, I'm going to sit on my hands for a while?
About that. We know that the massive German car industry, after years of being in Brussels' ear, lobbying the European Commission, and Brussels has relented. There is now the very hard stop of no more internal combustion engines being sold as new from 2035. The European Union rules, that has now slipped back. We are 2030, of course. Yeah. I don't think that will survive. I think that will be pushed back. I just don't think the government's got the guts to admit it and enrage the Green lobby this side of a general election.
The other thing, in terms of exporting our car production, you've been up to the northeast. I mean, these difficulties of getting a battery factory organised to actually build, what is the motor, effectively the battery and the power plant for the new EVs.
And it's not, you're right, we've covered extensively, haven't we, the site in Camis up there near the Port of Blythe on the northeast coast. A fantastic place to build a battery production unit, a so-called Gigafactory. That may or may not happen. Why? Because I think since the war in Ukraine, energy security is really being questioned by mainstream public opinion now. It's no longer beyond the pale as it was just a few months ago to say the kind of things I often say, which is, will electric vehicles really be the answer when you've got to rely on lithium batteries, lithium that's mined,
dug out of the ground,
in Central Africa, China and so on. There's one more graphic I want to show you very briefly, Mark. That is electric vehicle production, because, of course, car companies, they're kind of locked into this. And electric vehicle production in March was 32,500 odd units, and that's 75% up on March 2022. That's what I'm saying. The car industry is moving towards electric vehicles, but are they really the answer?
OK, we shall see as people put their hands in their pockets or not, of course. Liam, thank you very much for updating us on that.